Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Eala to fight for singles gold in SEA Games, but not against Janice Tjen. Chonburi, Thailand. Eala will get a crack at her first Southeast Asian Games crown as she reached the final of the women's singles after a 6-1, 6-4 win over Thailand's Thassaporn Naklo on Tuesday, December 16th at the National Tennis Development Center in Nonthaburi. Already guaranteed of the silver, the Filipina tennis star has surpassed her bronze finish in the event in the 2021 Vietnam edition and will look to go all the way in the gold medal match. But the final will not feature the highly anticipated clash between Eala and Indonesia's Janice Tjen, the two highest-ranked WTA players at number 53 and number 54, respectively. Tjen, who has also enjoyed a stellar 2025, like Eala, that saw the Indonesian win her first WTA Tour title in the Chennai Open in October, retired from her semifinal match against Thailand's Maninkaya Sawanki due to a breathing issue. Instead, it will be Eala and world number 240 Sawanki who will duke it out in the final scheduled on Thursday, December 18th. Eala, who fought back from a 0-2 start against Naklo, has a chance to win the Philippines' first women's singles gold in SEA Games tennis since Marie-Chris Fernandez-Gent's accomplished defeat in 1999. But before her title duel, Eala can advance to the final of another event as she partners with Frances Casey Alcantara in the mixed doubles semifinals on Wednesday, December 17th. The stadium lights at the SEA Games tennis complex always seemed a little too bright at night, as if they were trying to burn doubt out of every player who stepped onto the court. For Eala, the glare felt familiar. She had grown up under it, under expectations, headlines, and the quiet weight of being the future of Philippine tennis. Yet this night was different. This night was about a gold medal that shimmered just beyond reach, and about an absence that felt louder than any cheering crowd. Eala was fighting for singles gold, but not against Janice Tjen. Everyone had expected that match. For months, the tennis world in Southeast Asia had painted the story in neat, dramatic lines. Eala versus Tjen, the rivalry renewed, the duel everyone wanted. They were often spoken of in the same breath. Two young women molded by discipline, sharpened by international training, and burdened by the same question: how far can you go for your country before the country becomes the weight on your shoulders? But tournaments, like life, refuse to obey scripts. Janice Tjen was not on the other side of the net. Injury, timing, fate. No one agreed on the exact reason. What mattered was that Eala stood alone at center court during warm-up, bouncing the ball slowly, listening to the hollow echo it made against the hard surface. Each bounce sounded like a reminder. Gold medals are not won by defeating expectations, but by surviving the matches that actually arrive. She closed her eyes and breathed. Eala's journey to this final had never been about a single opponent. It had been about distance, the distance from home when she trained abroad as a teenager, the distance between promise and fulfillment, the distance between being celebrated and being understood. Every forehand she hit carried years of sacrifice, early mornings, blistered hands, birthdays missed, and the quiet loneliness of hotel rooms where victory and defeat felt equally isolating. Still, people asked about Janice. They asked if the gold would feel complete without that rivalry, if winning without her most familiar challenger would cheapen the medal, if a champion needed a mirror on the other side of the net to prove her worth. Eala answered those questions the only way she knew how, by playing. The final match unfolded under a humid sky, the kind that made every rally feel longer than it was. Her opponent, hungry and fearless, played with nothing to lose. Each point was a small war, each game a test of patience. Eala could feel the match tugging at her nerves, testing the discipline drilled into her since childhood. At times, her mind wandered, to the matches she and Janice had played before, to the rhythm they shared, to the strange comfort of familiarity. Against Janice, Eala knew the angles, the tendencies, the emotional temperature of the rallies. This opponent was different, unpredictable, sharp. And that, she realized, was the point. Gold was never about one name across the net. It was about adapting when the expected story collapsed. Midway through the second set, Eala wiped sweat from her brow and glanced at the Philippine flag, fluttering beyond the baseline. It didn't care who her opponent was. It didn't ask whether this victory would be poetic enough for fans or dramatic enough for headlines. It only asked one thing: did you give everything? She tightened her grip. When match point finally came, it wasn't dramatic. No screaming ace, no diving winner. Just a long rally, heavy with tension, ending in an error forced by Alex's relentless depth. The ball sailed long. Silence fell for a heartbeat. Then the crowd erupted. Alex stood still, absorbing the noise, the truth of it settling into her bones. She had done it. Singles gold at the SEA Games. Not against Janice Tjen. Not against a rival carved neatly into public imagination, but against the version of herself that had doubted whether this moment would ever come. At the medal ceremony, the gold felt heavier than she expected. Not physically, symbolically. It carried questions, opinions, and comparisons that would follow her long after the anthem faded. Somewhere, she knew, people would debate the meaning of this win. She smiled anyway, because she understood something now that she hadn't before. Rivalry is a gift, but it is not a requirement. Janice Tjen had pushed her to be better in the past, and she would again in the future. Their paths would cross, separate, and cross again, as all true competitors' paths do. But tonight belonged to Alex alone. As the Philippine flag rose and the anthem played, Alex felt a quiet certainty settle in her chest. Gold did not ask who was missing. Gold only reflected who was ready.